delivering fascinating subjects, interesting talk, and boobs and fart jokes. AD on iHeartRadio.
Yeah. Let's go. Talking that mess, better act like you know. Let's go tonight. Walk away, punk, yeah, bitch. That's right, I know this. You're nothing but a punk, bitch. You're nothing but a punk, bitch. So walk away, yeah. You've been talking about me for a long time.
All right, so, man, so much to talk about today. Didn't get to any of it because, we were dissecting why Donald Glover wasn't as good to watch as Louis C.K. on stage. A little hypocritical coming from the two of us, Funkhauser, and people that never get on stage. We hide behind a microphone in empty rooms talking to people, not having to deal with the slings and arrows of direct feedback or criticism. Notice how I generously lumped you in with me there, even though you had nothing to. You did not run Donald Glover down at all.
We're even once more removed from that. We're in different studios.
Yeah, we can't even be bothered to look at each other. Two remote locations. It's amazing. It's one of the great paradoxes of life. I don't know about you, but I wound up in radio because I had nothing else to do. Would you consider yourself a radio guy, Funkhauser?
No, because I don't like hanging out with those radio guys.
It's true. Why did you end up in radio?
I was in architecture in high school and college, and I don't know. I just got the bug and jumped on it. Started interning and worked my way up. I don't know why. Nothing led me to it. I think just the entertainment industry runs in my family. Grandpa was a country guy,
so it's like being a stonemason or something like that, or a plumber. It's it's what's in your blood. It's what's handed down. It's what's talked about around the dinner table, I would imagine.
And Funkhauser means Radio Shack in German. So
So it's sort of, self-fulfilling prophecy in your case. I wound up in radio just because I needed a job. I was a lead singer of a band. Then, our record label was like, hey, I think we're done putting out your records. And all the rest of the guys in the band were like, hey, we're much older, so we're going to go get, sort of normal jobs with health insurance that provide for our families. And I was just like, oh, Sony wasn't my friend the way they said they were when we signed with them. How about that? And I've been around the world and done a lot and amassed a lot of experience and realized that it was all absolutely useless and good for nothing. I was 23 years old. My resume said I was a lead singer in a band, and I didn't even have a band anymore. And I just had to find something, and radio was a natural fit. And I wanted to do radio. I mean, I didn't want to, but I always thought it would be cool. And I just was lucky enough to fall ass backwards into one crappy shift a week on Sirius and one crappy shift a week on a station in Houston called The Buzz, and I just weaseled my way up from there. But it was out of necessity that I got into radio. But there's this weird dichotomy with people in radio. And what I'm saying is I'm not really a radio person, and Funkhauser isn't really a radio person in this way. But the vast majority of radio people you meet, when you meet them in real life, there's a very good chance you're going to think, that guy's an ass. Or that girl's not very nice. It's not so much that they're mean. It's not that they're bad people. It's that they're socially retarded. It's a set of people that can feel perfectly at home talking to 500,000, 1 million people at a time, alone in a room with a microphone when nobody can talk back. But you put that same person that just communicated with 1 million people in a room with 10 folks and ask them to get along and be the life of the party and have a normal social interaction, and it's not going to happen. So, there's that. Speaking of normal social interactions, I don't think Scott Stapp from Creed is having any of those anytime soon. You had to have seen this by now. It basically sounds like Scott Stapp, homeboy from Creed, is going insane, literally. He spent most of the Thanksgiving weekend acting like 90s rock's Amanda Bynes. A few days ago, he posted a 15-minute video on Facebook where he ranted and raved about how he was penniless and living at a Holiday Inn. He said, quote, "About 8 weeks ago, I began an audit of not only my record company, but my personal finances. A lot of money was stolen from me or royalties not paid. And that's when all hell began to break loose. Earlier in the week, Scott's wife filed for divorce and asked for full custody of the children. In her filing, she released a text message she said she got from Scott where he says crazy stuff like, Florida is not safe. Biological weapons on the way. You have to leave with kids and meet me in Atlanta. And, quote, I'm coming to get you, Satan and children. No mercy. You know how this ends. God created you, and now God is ending you. Mm-hmm.
With arms wide open.
Yeah. So funny. And look, we said on the show that we wouldn't have fun at the expense of people that are mentally challenged. It's something that I bring up over and over again. I wasn't going to take pot shots at Amanda Bynes because I think there's something amiss there. It's not just being entitled. It's not just having nobody tell you no. I think there's something going on. And we talk about this example all the time, but say there's someone in a grocery store in a wheelchair. What are you going to do for them? You'll probably help them reach into the fridge, help them get the food that they can't get on their own because they aren't able to stand up. They have a disability that inspires you to find compassion in your heart. Do for them that they can't do for themselves, or that which they can't do for themselves. It's not threatening when someone has a physical disability. However, if some guy comes in and his face is smeared in human fecal matter and he's ranting and raving and waving his arms around, well, that guy's got a disability too. But we as a society treat him like dog dirt. We really do. We go, ooh, call the manager, call the cops, get this guy out of my shopping experience. It's weird how awful we as a country treat people with mental disabilities, which is why I'm not taking pot shots at folks like Amanda Bynes. Now then, Scott Stapp of Creed, when I was in a band, an ill-fated band, we opened for them numerous times, and I found him to be an absolute hypocritical douchebag. Only because, well, he liked to get on stage, literally Jesus Christ pose, stand there like he was being crucified with his arms out, talk about God, set himself up as some sort of martyr, some sort of latter-day Messiah. He wrote that song with arms wide open about having his kid, and then was voted Father of the Year by some organization right before he whipped a glass bottle at his wife's head in a drug-fueled rage. His insanity comes from things like meth. And this guy who won Father of the Year, in this particular situation, his son is now old enough to comment on these things, and he's got a Twitter account. And his son said, Scott Stapp, my dad, is too busy posting songs on his Facebook page, hiding out for attention rather than getting his act together. Hashtag dad stop. And he also said, to all confused, my father once again chose drugs over his family. He needs help, but refuses to get it. He's been on a 9-week binge.
Under the moonlight.
Can you take me higher? Scoo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And the answer is no. You literally cannot get any higher than you are. Meth is, in fact, a hell of a drug. There's another band, which is all the guys from Creed except for him, because they couldn't stand him, understandably. And what are they called? Alter Bridge? Is that what they're called, Funkhauser? You ever heard of them? Yeah. I think it's Alter Bridge, and they have a different lead singer. And at the Station Radio Festival where we played once, and the guitar player from Creed, that Mark Tremonti dude, could not be a nicer individual. So nice, so well-adjusted, so down-to-earth, and what an amazing musician. Like a seriously accomplished musician, but also very humble with his music, his musicianship. Like, he's a really, really accomplished guitar player, yet whenever he gets into a town that has sort of like a resident guitar hero type of dude, he goes and gets a lesson from them. Like, I saw him backstage getting a lesson from some sort of shredhead guy called Rusty Cooley, who's an amazingly accomplished oodly musician. And this guy, Mark Tremonti, who played guitar in Creed, could rest on his laurels. He could be chill and be like, I'm just going to be pious and low-key with my rock star millions and just watch the royalties come in. But no, he actually is actively trying to better himself every single night on the road by taking lessons from other musicians. He had this guy, I think his name was Rusty Cooley, come in. Pretty sure that was it. He set up an iPhone and he recorded their guitar lesson together. And he was like, cool, now I got something to practice on the tour bus. He's actively trying to improve himself, which I thought really spoke to his character. Nicest dude in the world. And he was in a band with this guy. Like, it's bad enough being in a band with a drug-using, drug-abusing, lying, thieving scumbag, as you know, people that get into things like meth and heroin and crack usually are. But the fact that it was balanced out with a pious, Jesus Christ posing, sanctimonious, self-righteous, holier-than-thou attitude, it had to be just insufferable. And I remember seeing his other band, Alter Bridge, play, which is everybody in Creed that got tired of the lead singer's BS and decided to do their own thing with a different lead singer. They played, and I was like, hey, that was really good. No offense, but, you know, I preferred that to your last band. I just wasn't really into your singer. And before, he was like, yeah, neither was I. It was a weird situation. It's a weird situation where they just had massive success thrust upon them. And what are you going to do? You're a penniless, broke-ass dude, and all of a sudden you're playing stadiums. And you're making music that you like. You just have this one insufferable a-hole. And so what did they do? They made a bunch of money, and then they got the hell out, which I guess I kind of sort of have to respect. But, yeah. Scott Stapp is a Major League D-bag. And it's funny because all the Major League D-bagness exists. Remove the whole religious aspect to it, and it exists. Like, he's just an insufferable tool. I remember working with a makeup artist once who was on a video shoot that I was doing, and she was like cutting my hair or something like that. It's never worked. You know what she was doing? She was drawing in sideburns. I was so young at the time, I couldn't grow real sideburns, and I had these baby sideburns, and she was like, yeah, these will never show up. So she was coloring in my sideburns to make me look more manly, because the record company was worried that no one would take us seriously because I looked too young in the video. So she was coloring in my sideburns, and she was telling me about having worked with Scott Stapp. And I was like, how'd that go? And she was like, I have never been, well, first he was completely out of his mind on heroin, but I've never been more abused and mistreated by someone I was working for. I've never been grabbed. I've never been groped. I've never been touched that way so many times by someone who was working for me. It was the single most inappropriate professional moment I ever had. I was like, really? The with arms wide open guy? The can you take me higher? The Bible thumping dude? She was like, yeah, the Bible thumping dude needs to get his hands back into the Bible and out of my lady parts when I'm trying to fix the puffiness on his face when he's been on an 8-day alcohol and drug binge. I was like, oh, wow. So all the debagginess of it is just made that much more insufferable by the fact that he is a holy roller, sanctimonious, self-righteous piece of thinks he's the latter-day coming of Jesus hunk of crap. His wife is trying to get him back into the hospital. She says he's been blowing all of his money on drugs and that he hears voices, and recently left a message with the dean of his kid's school warning the place was the target of an ISIS attack. For the sake of his children, I really hope this guy gets it together. Have a good one.